All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Problem Set 2, Part 3. This is actually the 9th part overall, and this is all about data validation. So we're going to be doing this assignment all in Excel, but I am going to show you the way this is done in Google Sheets as well, because I actually think the Google Sheets version of this is better. I just thought we would have everything Google Sheets in the first half with the alternating weeks, and then have everything in the second half be Excel. But I do want to show you the Google Sheets version when we get done. So data validation, what we're looking at is if we had a list and we were just writing down our clients and the amount that they paid for whatever the subscription, this is like a website subscription or something like that. Maybe they're using our plugin for the way that they run their websites or whatever, right? So we run the risk with any data entry of somebody keying in anything inconsistently. And what we see on this sheet here is that for one of the products we have a professional subscription type, and somebody keyed this in with the word professional, and somebody typed in profession, and somebody typed in pro. Meanwhile, we also have prim and premium, presumably the same product. If we wanted to know the website of the company, we see here twice where it appears to be an email address, help@smarttalk.com for two of them. This one, softwar, no .com, no .net, edu, whatever, just an abbreviated version of the client's name. And so you run these inconsistencies. Country, we've got United States, we have US. San Francisco, we have San Francisco, and then San Fran. So depending on who's keying it in, if it's the same person or different people that could key it in from different locations, this is the problem with data entry, right? And so one thing you can do to avoid this problem is to have everything run off of a list with drop-down menus. And so we've done some data validation on some of the previous assignments. This one's going to be all about data validation. And for this one, you're going to have your tab that says part 3, and that's going to be the completed one. But I also want to introduce you to the idea that your lists don't have to be on the same spreadsheet. You can have a very clean spreadsheet and then have another spreadsheet, another tab that has your lists on it, right? And this can be organized in whatever way you deem fit. You can have it set up to where these references can be expanded on. If you add a new client with a new URL later on, if you expand to another city, you can add them to this list and then they will appear in this dropdown. So what I have here is client. I can choose between Dev Devils, Product Create, Smart Talk, Softwares, Truva. And then I've got a series of blanks underneath, which are pretty well hidden. But what's listed there, what I'm actually doing is I'm referring to these blank cells here. So if I had a new client and what they were called, I don't know, code team. Sure, I don't know, that just came to me. Once I add it to this section, I go back to this drop down. Now code team appears in this list. I don't have to worry about typing in code team here for one person and the next person puts it with a dash or a space or an underscore, and there's an inconsistency in the name of that client. Again, or country or subscription type or URL. And what you will see on this list is that we've got, in the original table, we've got 6 columns. One of them is payment amount. Now, payment amount is going to be however much they paid, and we're going to be reliant on that being, keyed in. But the part 3 here, we don't have that. Part 3 list, rather, we don't have that. We don't need a drop-down list for payment amount, right? So this is going to be about data validation, data cleanup, making sure that everything in here is consistent. So what we're going to start with is this list, okay? And from here, we're going to want to create an additional tab. So I'm going to hit my plus button down here, and that's going to create an extra sheet. And I'm just going to call that list for this video, but you guys will want to have your part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for your problem set. For part 3, you're going to have a separate tab that says part 3 and one that says part 3 list or part 3 data, something like that, in between that part 3 and part 4. Okay. So we've got our list, and we're going to want to start by just copying over everything in this to another page. Okay, let's make it to where we can read everything. So I'm going to click up here in the top left on this corner, double click here to make it large enough. And then for this video, I'm just going to zoom in. I'll leave that up to you as to what font size you choose, what you think is best. Keep consistent with how you've made the rest of your entire workbook. And then we do not need payment amount. So I'm going to click on the E right here, which will select the entire column. Right click and delete. We'll delete this entire column out. If I just press the delete button, it just deletes the data in there. It doesn't move anything over. So again, I want to right click here and delete it. And now we're just going to be doing the cleanup phase of this. So I'm going to start just by underlining these just to get away from the idea that it stops me from looking at these headers as part of the cleanup. But I'm going to go through here and I'm going to look at any unique client names. So Smart Talk appears once. And so what I want to do is I want to delete any other instances of Smart Talk. Soft Warriors appears again. Truva appears again. Dev Devils appears again, and then Product Create. So I'm going to move Product Create. I'm going to hit Control X or Command X and paste it up here. So now I've got my list of clients. Next thing I want to do is subscription type. I've got Light, Premium, Professional, Profession, Light, Premium, Pro, Light, Standard. So really I've got 4 subscription types: Light, Premium. If I got to make a decision, how do I want Premium to display? I think I'm just going to choose Premium right here with the entire word spelled out. Professional, I think I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete any other instances of Professional or Pro. Light, I'm going to delete any other instances of Light. And then Standard, I'm going to move up to the top here. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to look at this country list and I'm going to see, okay, I've got US, UK, Sweden. That appears to be all of them. So how do I want that to look? Do I want US to be US or do I want it to be United States? I'll leave that up to you. Again, with the Professional and Standard, I'll leave that up to you. Just make sure you have one type on here, how you want these subscription types to look. So if you want, I would say this: if you choose US, don't choose United Kingdom, choose UK. Be consistent that you're going to abbreviate countries like that, right? Sweden doesn't really have a solid abbreviation there because it's one word. But if you're going to do United States, United Kingdom, Sweden, great. Delete all your US's and UK's. Don't abbreviate one United and not abbreviate the other one. So abbreviate both or neither would be my suggestion there. States, Kingdom, and then Sweden. And then we know I can delete the rest out. Cities, I'm going to do the same thing here. Boston, I've got no other Boston. London, I've got one other London here. San Francisco, I'm going to delete out the San Fran. And then I'm going to look real carefully. I've thrown one thing in here. We've got Stockholm, Sweden, and then Stockholm, Sweden. So if you're not sure, you can Google to see which one's the real cities. Stockholm is. Miami, and then Edinburgh, which leaves us with the cities, 6 cities here between the 3 countries. And then we've got URLs. So each one of our clients should have a website, so that'll clue us in that that's the number of websites we should have. Smart Talk, Soft Warriors, Truva, Dev Devils, Product Create. So if you look here, help@smarttalk.com, that's clearly an email address. Software is nothing. Product Create. And if you're looking closely, when I hover up over the actual words, it's going to link me to that URL. When I'm clicking on this, I'm clicking just slightly off in this empty area to actually select the cell. Be prepared to accidentally click the URL a lot while you're doing this. It's going to pop up your web browser, and that's just how it goes. No problem. All right. The last thing we want to do with our list, though, is these need to be sorted. Why? Because when you click your drop down, especially as your list expands, you're going to want to be able to find all your city names as easily and quickly as possible. You want to find your client names as easily and quickly as possible. So as I add more clients, I would recommend sorting them again so that your list is auto updating on the other screen. So let's do that. We're still in the creation of our list. We haven't started the data validation part. So I'm going to click on A, and then I'm going to click on sort A to Z. And it says, do you want to expand the selection? And no, we don't. We want to sort each one of these. These are 5 separate lists. Yes, they pertain to one table, but they are separate lists. If I expand the selection, here's what's going to happen. It's going to sort and give me all these blanks, and it's going to sort everything that was on that row along with me. It's going to associate dev devils with standard, which is, there's no association there at all. The only association really is the URL. It happened to work out for us in this case, the way that I moved the client names and URLs up, but otherwise we actually don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to sort again. So I'm going to sort and filter A to Z, and then I'm just going to say continue with the current selection. Okay, sort those. Subscription type, again, sort A to Z. Continue with the current selection. Do that for each one of them. Country, if you do a lot of business in one country, if you've ever selected a country from a drop-down list when you're like, I don't know, creating an account for something, probably 50-50 on whether the country is completely alphabetized or whether United States is at the top. If you primarily do business in the United States, it's pretty common that you would just have that at the top of the list if you're going to want to have it easily selectable. But if you start doing business in a lot of countries, yeah, maybe you should alphabetize it. So I'll leave that up to you. Either alphabetize completely or put the US at the top and then alphabetize after that. If UK is at the top, then I would consider that not correct. So it can be United States and then you can alphabetize, or just alphabetize all of them, right? So I'm just going to alphabetize all of them, but I'll leave that up to you. Current selection only, Boston and all that, A to Z, current selection only, and then A to Z, current selection only. All right, we have created our list. These are going to be the only things that should appear in any of these cells. So how do I make a reference to those? Well, we've done that a little bit so far. We've made our list on other things, but we haven't had it where our list references are on another tab. So here we go. I'm going to do this again. I'm just going to make this so we can easily see that this is our selection. And what I want to do is if I'm making a spreadsheet, I'd like to future-proof it, meaning I want to be able to use this spreadsheet until I'm done with it. And so I want every line, if I'm adding more rows and there's more clients with payments, I would like to see that auto update without me having to change it later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything in this entire column, and I'm going to hold Control, press Shift, and then press down. And if I do that one time, it goes to the bottom of the list. But if I do it a second time, it's going to go to the bottom of Excel, which is 1,048,576 is the row number that it finally gave up on. And so when I do that, I'm going to select all of this. And then I'm going to go to the Data tab. And I'm going to click Data Validation. And I do not want to allow any value in the client. Instead, I want to only show things from a list. And that list is going to be on my list page. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to click here, Control Shift down 2 times, because again, I'm future-proofing this. I'm making this so where right now I've only got there we go. I've got 5 things on my list: Dev Devils, Product Create, Smart Talk, Software is Truva. However, if I add, what did I say earlier, Code Team or something, if I add that now, because I've selected all of this part of the list, everything from client down, well, now Code Team shows up in the list. So now I've got 6 clients. And as I add more clients, I can just keep adding them underneath this. And then they'll keep getting added to this list here, which is very convenient for ensuring that the data entry is consistent across the board. So you're going to be doing that for all columns except for payment amount. Payment amount will be whatever's keyed in. Keep in mind consistent with the rest of what we've done so far and what we're going to be doing in the future. You've got a payment amount, that's money. So format it as if it was money, right? You want to have this listed as currency. And then, clean this up a little bit, right? So your client, your subscription type, country, city, and URL should all be drop downs. I should not be able to key in anything. If I type something else in, it will say the value doesn't match the restriction. So I'm going to hit cancel, and then I can only select from this list. All right, why did I say I liked it a little bit better on Google Sheets? Well, Google Sheets has one thing on their data validation rules. I mean, they have several actually additional ones. And I'm hoping that they get added with the next update of Office 365 because it's a pretty nice rule. And that rule is that I can say that everything in this column, and I can Control Shift down the same way. If I add a rule, I'm going to apply it to this range, and the criteria, instead of selecting from a drop-down list or a drop-down from a range, I have this one right here, which is that the text is a valid URL. Or a valid email address, or is exactly this. And it's a little bit nicer selection than Excel. And this is one of the few areas where I think that Google Sheets just does a better job. And so what I'm going to do is I can either say, do I want it to show a little warning here, which is this little red arrow, or do I want it to reject the input altogether and say, you won't even let me type that in? And I could do this in lieu of a drop-down list if I wanted to make sure that people are typing in an active URL. And so I'm going to hit done. And if you look over this, it's going to tell me, like on DevDevils, it gives me additional information about that. DevDevils.com is for sale. Softwares.com, it goes somewhere, but it's not. I've checked these. It's not a valid link. Smart Talk, not for sale, but DevDevils is, and Product Create is a WordPress site. Truva.com. So it gives you additional information just by hovering over that. So I think you get a little bit more out of Google Sheets in that regard. I like that rule, and I don't see a way to do that in Excel. Maybe there is, but I couldn't find it. And it's under the data validation along with the rest of it on Sheets. So that's what you'll have to do on this one. You'll need to make sure you have a separate tab with a list of everything, that these are consistently formatted, that your list reference goes all the way to the bottom, so that if I add something else here, it shows up on your list. If I add, that onto a list, then I could select that, garbage that I just typed right there. That's what I'll be checking for to make sure that these are referenced. All of these, except for payment amount, need to be selectable from the drop down on the list, which again, I haven't done. I've only done on this one, but you do it the same way for the rest. So if you need, when you start doing this one, just rewind the tape and watch again. So that's that. And then, make sure you get it cleaned up in some way, some kind of consistency of formatting that's consistent with the rest of what you've done in the past, that is very easily readable. All right, thanks everyone. I will see you in part 4 of problem set 2, aka part 10 overall.